What is up, everybody? Welcome to this Trainwreck Sports podcast where we are not here to play school. We're here to break down the college football slate this week. Jake Micah, as always, joined by my brother Alex Micah. I don't know why my cat's just staring at the wall here, so I'm gonna there. He's all right. He's active. That was a little weird. He was just like staring into the wall. I feel like there wasn't
Cats,
a good
cats are weird, man. They're weird little guys.
cats are weird. How we doing today?
I'm great. I can't believe it's week 12. Only 2 more weeks of the regular season, and then conference championship games. It's kind of wild. It's flying
Yes,
by.
this it's already being the middle of November doesn't really make a lot of sense, to be honest. It's
No, it
pretty
doesn't.
insane. But we're
But
here and we're in the
yeah,
last couple weeks of the college football season, which is going to come right down to the wire. The playoff is not going to disappoint. The race for the college football playoff at all. So we're going to get into it. Let's get it. The second bracket was revealed this week. That's what we're going to touch on first before we get into the three biggest games of the week. And let me get this up for us here. That's what we're looking at right now. How do we
beautiful.
feel about this? How do we
Uh,
feel right now this week?
I think it makes. Nothing crazy on it. Honestly, I don't think. I think if you showed someone that very bottom there, where it was Indiana was a 7 and Alabama the 10, I think they would probably, show that to somebody a year ago, and they were like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
That's true. That's pretty crazy.
um, but no, a lot of Big Ten, which I think a lot of SEC people are pissed about, and they're already doing all these mental gymnastics to be like, "Well, Penn State shouldn't be there, or Indiana shouldn't be there." Why are they getting the respect, but these SEC teams aren't? But if you notice, there's still 4 SEC teams there. They're just not in the top five, like like they would want them to be, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, I think I don't know. It's exciting. It's exciting. Cool matchup. Penn State, Ole Miss. Get a rematch of last year's Peach Bowl, which is really exciting. Tennessee, Notre Dame. That's fun. Indiana, Alabama, just crazy. I don't even know if let me look it up. I don't even know if those teams have ever played each other.
That would be a nuts game to happen, and have it happen in Bloomington would be
Yeah,
hilarious.
that's the exciting thing too. Is all these games right now. It would be Notre Dame coming down to Knoxville. It would be Boise State going to the Shoe. You got Ole Miss coming up to Beaver Stadium in December, and you would have Alabama coming up to Bloomington. It's kind of it's wild. Let's
You
see,
got to
Alabama.
also think about this. Everybody's talking about the first round matchups, so you got to also look at the potential second round matchups here. You could have Texas versus Indiana, which would be insane, or Texas
Or
and Alabama, which would be an
Texas Bama.
awesome bowl game.
Yeah.
BYU and either Penn State or Ole Miss would be a great game. And then one of those teams facing potentially a Texas team is an awesome semifinal matchup. Ohio State, Miami. Sign me
That's
up for that. If we could
historic.
get that
Historic going back. Alabama and
and
Indiana have never played each other
and
before.
Oregon or Tennessee and Notre Dame is also
Yeah,
very
that's just
enticing quarterfinal. That quarterfinal, the first weekend's going to be fun on the campuses, but then once we get to the quarterfinal, it's like, all right, who can actually win the Natties
yeah.
out of these, 8 teams? Because it feels like there could be 8 teams this year that could win a national title. So
It's
yeah,
highly possible.
I have no big quarrels with the way the bracket is right now because a lot of it's going to work itself out, including the first game that we need to talk about today, which I guess we can get right into. We might as well. It's the big game tonight, potentially an elimination game. Who knows? Heather Dinich basically was out there prepping the world for a 3-loss Georgia to make the playoff, but I don't think it's possible in this playoff scenario. I think the rest of the schools would revolt if something like that happened, especially in the first year. I think Georgia has to win this game, and there's a reason they should win this game. There's a reason they're favored by 9.5. That defense at home, and Tennessee has been prone to struggle offensively for stretches this year, but they still are 8-1. They could go in there and pull this upset off easily, but it's because of the Dogs' defense. We know the issues right now going on with Carson Beck. He's been
He's
struggling for weeks and weeks and weeks.
he isn't even a good MAC quarterback. Like honestly, like that's how bad he's playing. Like if that like he's getting this crazy NIL money, and dude is just not good at football. Like honestly, like you want to look at last week. He broke his streak. He had 3 straight games going into last week against Ole Miss that he had thrown multiple interceptions in the game. He only had one last week. He didn't throw a single touchdown pass, and he had sub 200 yards. And it was, weather related. It was raining there. in Oxford, but I don't know. He's awful. And now you're putting this game because Nico is not playing because of concussion, and you have so you have a backup going against Carson Beck. That's ugly. That's just an ugly game. Two quarterback. I don't know. Not ideal. Not what I'm sure people were signing up for at the beginning of the year. These two teams.
Can't be.
But I don't know. I also Georgia without their top rusher in Trevor Etienne is missing another game. The 9.5 is surprising to me. A lot of that has to be because Nico is out, I would assume.
Yes,
but
for sure.
It seems.
I think if Nico playing, it's probably like 4 or 5, honestly.
Yeah, it seems like a lot. I mean, I would very much be tempted to take Tennessee plus 9.5.
Well, almost as much as anything, because I don't feel like either of these offenses are going to be lighting it up. You're just talking about Carson Beck, and this is a great Tennessee. Both these defenses are awesome. So a 9.5-point spread, Georgia might win this game handily, but it can be like 17-9 or something like that, or 17-10, where they're still in control. 67% according to covers of the spread is on Tennessee, so people are taking that 9.5. So maybe it is a line where Vegas knows, but Georgia's 2-7 against the spread this year. This is a team that everybody has wanted to believe in when they have given multiple reasons over and over again for you to not believe in them as a true national title contender. They just feel like another good team this year, and a lot of it's because of the way the quarterback has ended up playing. And also, I don't think it's not like it's not like this is a year where they have, the best offensive weapons they've had in years past.
That's true.
Truly not. They needed Beck to be their best player, and he hasn't been that.
Yeah.
And so I do see a world where both teams struggle offensively and it's close, but I would give Georgia. Without Nico, I would have to give Georgia the edge and pulling this game out, even if it's close down to a field goal game. I still think they get it done, and then it just creates a whole more of a mess in the SEC as we come down to the final weeks with all these 2-loss teams.
Yeah, your point about the offense not having the weapons, I'd say the defense doesn't have weapons either. Jalen Walker is playing good football right now, but he's causing a lot of disruption on that
line. The D line is pretty solid all around.
Yeah, but it's not compared to what we saw the last few years.
No, it's not like years past, but that's what's winning them most of these games.
Yeah,
D line.
Obviously, 2 years ago you had or 3 years ago I guess it would be you have Jordan Davis, and then 2 years ago you had Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, and then in the linebacker you had Nakobe Dean. That if you just look at the Eagles defense, basically it's just all Georgia guys that have churned out first round talent the last couple of years. I don't know. I don't think they have one of those guys really that right now at least. Jalen Walker maybe he's playing good, but you want to look at it's kind of like a rebuilding year. Honestly, I feel like for Georgia where they're figuring out their place in the new SEC, and maybe they backed the wrong horse in Carson Beck. He was good last year, but maybe he wasn't the guy they should have stuck with. You see Brock Vandagriff transfer out and go to Kentucky, and not that he's doing amazing numbers.
They're 1-6 in the SEC. So.
Yeah, but that's more maybe an indictment on Kentucky, the team itself. And if maybe if you have I don't know, if you have a different quarterback into Georgia, maybe they don't have any.
What Georgia quarterback has been a superstar in this run? Stetson wasn't a superstar.
Stetson Bennett was a Heisman finalist. He was a Heisman finalist.
Yeah, he wasn't a superstar.
Jake Fromm, elite quarterback.
Jake Fromm, not a superstar. These are guys that could run the offense well and limit mistakes. That was their biggest thing, especially Jake Fromm. Did not make a lot of mistakes. Carson Beck is not taking it as it comes to him. But it's also because the talent isn't there to overwhelm teams as much as it is. You got James Cook as a running back a couple years ago. That helps a lot.
Yeah. They're missing Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers was a do-it-all everything for them.
Exactly.
But I don't know.
You're missing George Pickens. These are guys that are lighting up NFL that aren't on this roster anymore. They don't have the same kind of star level.
Yeah.
That's for all these great teams across the board. The stars, NIL has opened it up. You can't hoard stars on your teams anymore. So you really got to hit on your gems. And that's where we're at with the Georgias and the Alabamas of the country this year. Like that's part of the reason probably why Saban leaves Alabama. He probably saw how it was going. It's like I'm not going to dominate anymore with the way this works. Like why? Might as well get out early. Like that's a good reason to get out. This NIL is crazy. We're not going to dominate the SEC like we have in years past. People are going to say I lost it for some reason. Fuck that. And I think
Right.
that's part of what it is. And Kirby's not going to say that. And Georgia is very much in a position if they win this game that they're still going to be in the playoff and they're going to be the team that nobody wants to play. Look at this guy staring at the wall again. This is like I don't know what this is. But so the Bulldogs, I think we'll go to prediction time because we both think this is just going to be an ugly, gross defensive matchup. I think
Most
Georgia
likely,
wins.
Tennessee defense is fifth in the nation for points against. I mean, there's an elite defense that
Exactly.
Heupel's built down there.
Exactly. Another elite defense.
I'm picking Tennessee.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm picking Tennessee. I don't think Georgia. Like I came into this year, I never thought Georgia was the top team in the country. They've proven that this year that they're not the top team in the country. Going back all the way, you could say to week 2 when they played Kentucky, they didn't look like the top team in the country. So no, I'm picking Tennessee. They haven't won against Georgia in 7 seasons since 2016 was the last time they got a dub.
Yep.
Time for that to change. That's like Heupel in his career now at Tennessee. He's been able to like avenge a lot of these demons of past Tennessee teams that they weren't able to do. Like how many years did they not beat Bama before? And then he's done it twice now. You know, I think he's due to get this win against Georgia, against a bad Georgia team too, even with this backup quarterback. I want to say his name. It's Gaston Moore. It's an interesting name. But even with a backup quarterback, I'm giving it to Heupel in Tennessee. I think they're going to win.
All right, I'm jumping on to Tennessee's going to win. 9-1 Tennessee. We're getting Tennessee and Texas.
9-1 and 9-1 Tennessee and 6-1 in the SEC.
Yep, we're getting Texas and Tennessee. I think that is going to be the all orange.
The real UT.
A battle for the real UT. They have to put it on the line. It's got to be like a championship belt.
Yeah.
Every time. All right, there's 2 other big games. There's a couple. There's not a lot of big games this weekend in terms of national significance, but 2 teams we want to keep an eye on who are going to have the national eye on them. Let's start in Colorado. Let's go 4:00 Eastern on Fox. Utah, who is basically at war with the Big 12 after last week, again with some of the calls at the end of that game where they had an upset bid against BYU. They didn't like the defensive holding call that kept the drive alive. BYU comes down, wins the game at the end. The AD comes out and makes a strong statement. So Utah's fired up. They feel slighted. They played BYU great last week. This was also considered a rivalry in the Pac-12. They played a lot.
Rumble in the Rockies.
Yep. So here
it's not considered. It's a rivalry. What are you talking about? It's not just they played each other. They had a big gap. They stopped playing each other in 1962 because they were in different conferences. 2011, both in the Pac-12 started playing each other every year again. I think it's Utah's 5th most played game, and it's Colorado's 8th most played game. Yeah.
Okay, 5th most is pretty solid. So it's up there as a rivalry game. They're meeting here. Colorado now with the Iowa State loss last week, which we touched on. Iowa State, that's all they needed to do is drop one, and they lose the game last week, opening the door for if Colorado wins out, they will be in the Big 12 championship game against BYU, most likely, as long as BYU holds serve at this point, and it looks like they will. It's pretty impressive from where they were the last couple of years, and it's fun. It's a fun story. They're a fun team to watch. This is going to be a challenge, though. The next 2 weeks with that and Kansas, if Kansas, I saw this the other day, if you flip 1-score games, Kansas is 6-1 in the Big 12, or 6-1 overall. What was their record right now? They
had to have played more than 7 games, yeah.
They are, if you flipped their 1-score games right now, they would be a 7-2 football team rather than a 3-6 football team. So Kansas,
big world of ifs there, though.
I'm just saying this is a team that played really well in a lot of these games that they lost, and then they blew out Houston, lose by 2 at Kansas State, and then obviously beat Iowa State last week. And this is the team that goes to BYU Saturday night. So Kansas could be the spoiler of the Big 12. They get BYU and Colorado back-to-back weeks. They've been playing good football the last couple weeks. But
I mean,
Colorado
I think even
has an opportunity.
I mean, even if I think even if Kansas, maybe they play spoiler for both those teams and just kind of messing up the Big 12. I think they would still go on to be the Big 12 favorites and in that conference championship game, BYU and Colorado. But it's an exciting thing to look at. This line changed last time I looked at it. It was 11 and a half, and now it's Colorado 12 and a half. I honestly, it probably should be bigger just because of Utah's quarterback situation. That is very unclear. Cam Rising has been out most of the year. Isaac Wilson was filling in, has gotten the most reps. He's hurt. So I saw some jokes that people were saying that he's got mono because he was going after too many cougars or whatever. It's like his brother, but and then they had Brandon Rose, who played the entire BYU game, apparently with a Lisfranc fracture that he got in the second quarter, and they put a steel plate in his shoe, and gave him pain meds, and he played the rest of that game. And then obviously is out for the season now because of this Lisfranc fracture. So I don't know who's playing quarterback. It's possibly Sam Heward, who was a one-time 5-star, committed to Washington during COVID, transferred out, spent some time at a smaller school. I think he went to Sacramento for a year or two, and then now transferred to Utah. He's a junior transfer. I don't know. That game's gonna be a mess, honestly. And it's not 4 p.m. It's 12 p.m. It's big noon.
Oh, is it big noon? I thought it was
It's big noon. That's my fault. No, it's big noon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big noon. What's your prediction here?
I'm Colorado. If this game had Isaac Wilson in it, I think it would be closer. But I think just Shedeur is playing still as the top quarterback or top 2 quarterback, how you want to look at it in the Big 12. Travis Hunter is obviously playing as a top wide receiver in the Big 12 and as a top defender. And this team just seems pretty in sync overall. I mean, they're in the nation 29. They have 29 sacks, which makes them 9th in college football. I think just all around they're a good team. They're much better than they were last year, obviously. And this year they've been much better ever since that. I can't even. What was their last loss? They lost to Nebraska earlier in the season, and then what was the other loss? Let me see. Kansas State, right, and that was a 3-point loss. So no, I'm going with Colorado, probably winning by like 2 touchdowns. I thought last week was going to be closer with Texas Tech, and that ended up being 41-27. They kind of just ran away with that one. So I expect Colorado probably by 14. Honestly, I think they'll win by multiple touchdowns.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Colorado's going to roll to the Big 12 title game.
Yeah. If that game was in Utah, then it'd be a different story. Because you saw that last week. It was obviously rivalry, much bigger rivalry. BYU coming to Utah, though, a 4-4 Utah team, and they did good. I mean, it came down to the wire, literally to the wire. But also, we talked about it's been 7 years since Tennessee. It's been 7 years since Colorado beat Utah. Odd that they both are matched up, but that's the streaks we're looking at.
That's wild. Yeah, I think Colorado gets that streak done this weekend. And I'm very excited for a potential Big 12 title game at Jerry World, Utah and Colorado, which they really should just play that game in Denver or something like that instead. But whatever, we'll figure it out. Another big game this week, just because we want to touch on them. And I don't know if this is the best chance for Boise to go down the rest of the season. They're a team. They're in the playoff right now. They're the top of the group of the 5. If they win out, they're in there. But they're playing a San Jose State team, 6-3, 3-2 in the conference. They have an electric offense. It's not a given on Saturday night for Boise in San Jose State. Are you excited to watch this game on one of your screens there for next to Oregon or Oregon? Well, Oregon and Wisconsin. I'm looking at Oregon State on Boise's schedule right now. Oregon and Wisconsin's also on it this time too with Georgia. But this game could be electric. This game could be high scoring.
I think it will. I think
1.5.
You have the top
1.5.
You have the top running back in the nation, and you have the top wide receiver in the nation with Nick Nash for San Jose State. It just happens to be that the Mountain West is just churning out absolute dogs this year, and that's pretty exciting for college football and obviously for the Mountain West getting all this recognition. Bet the over for sure. I did the math quick. Gianti, who, we want to win the Heisman. Everyone's talking about it. It's one of the best stories. He needs to average 179 yards rushing a game to break Barry Sanders' record that he set during his Heisman campaign, and that's going. I did that math with the remaining two after against Wyoming and against Oregon State. If they make the conference championship game, which they most likely will, obviously, and then whatever the playoff game or bowl game, whatever they're in, those 5 games to get to 179. Obviously, if they make it to the playoff and they win that first round matchup against whoever, right now it's Ohio State, then he can keep on going and even break that record more. Can you imagine, Boise State makes a run and he gets to be like a 3,000-yard rusher in college football? I mean, absurd numbers, but I mean it's possible if Boise State makes it to the playoff and he's getting these numbers, and obviously why not? He's going to get these carries. He's getting 30 carries a game. Then it's plausible, and that's just absurd.
Yeah.
So no, I'm very excited to watch this. Obviously, San Jose State is for some reason one of our dad's teams. I guess because he rebuilt them in college college football so many times. But it's exciting. Nick Nash is second in yards behind a tight end who Harold Fannin Jr. Can't stand him.
Hey, what's wrong with him?
Because he is the only thing that's gonna hinder Tyler Warren winning the John Mackey Award. And I know you don't care about individual awards, but I do.
Well, yeah, but you can't hate the player. Come on, he's just
whatever. He's played one more game, so Nash might, in this game where they're gonna rely on him a lot. I mean, Nash might light it up. This is the thing. San Jose State ranked 64th in defense. They let up 24 points a game. Their offense ranked 60 if they score 28 points a game. Their secondary, though, if they can even slow down Gianti a little bit, which obviously is easier said than done, as we've seen this entire season, they are second in college football for interceptions with 16. So, putting that ball in the air against them is dangerous. So if they can slow Gianti down, get on a couple third and long situations, and make Madsen throw that ball, it might come back to bite him. So that's I'm going to be paying attention to the most. If they can get to, obviously they still might just give it to Gianti because he's a force on those third and long situations, but I'm interested to see what's going to happen there. What's that? You said spread's 14?
Yeah. What do you think the score is?
I think it's closer than that. I would go with Boise State, but I'm thinking like 49-42 maybe, or maybe that's a little high, like 45-38, like a one touchdown game, a high scoring back and forth game.
It'll be electric. I'm excited. For this one. It'll be a good time on a nice little Saturday night. All right, I'm gonna rapid fire. I'm putting you to the fire here because there's some other games that I want to at least get your prediction on. Texas, Arkansas, big rivalry game.
I think, what's the spread? It's like 13?
12.5.
12.5. I think Texas wins by 10. I think they take care of business.
I can see that. Clemson and Pitt.
Clemson. Spread. I think Clemson rocks them. Honestly, I think Pitt's a fraud.
Okay. Pitt's falling off there. Tulane and Navy, one of the biggest games in the American this year. Tulane a 7-point favorite in Annapolis.
Tulane, but like that 7's probably accurate. I think it's gonna be a decently high scoring back and forth game, but Tulane.
Okay. Missouri and South Carolina on SEC Network in South Carolina. They are 14-point favorites at home over Missouri.
14 seems high, but I understand it coming from when they beat up on Texas A&M. I would go with the Gamecocks, probably like 10.
Mizzou, also one of those 2-loss teams in the SEC. Crazy enough with it.
People know that Mizzou is not real. They weren't real at any point this year. Should we have considered them a top 10 team like they were at the beginning of the year?
No, not at all. All right, 3 more here, quick. Arizona State, Kansas State, a big game in the Big 12. Both 4-2 in the conference rankings. Arizona State, good. They came back on, but I think Kansas State. They're only 7.5. They're only 7.5 point favorites.
It'll be a good game. I go Kansas State though.
Okay.
At Wisconsin to cover. What did you say?
Oregon at Wisconsin.
Oregon. I think. Oregon is playing right now as the best team in the country. Whether or not they are the best team in the country, whatever. But the one seed
in Camp Randall though to see.
It will be. It's gonna be an intense environment.
Oregon.
I mean that's Oregon's hardest road game they played this year, right? Yeah. So
yeah, they host Washington in a couple weeks. That's the rest of their schedule. So hey, good job, Oregon.
How about right now in Big Ten also?
Oh, go ahead.
Penn State and Ohio State both favored by 28 points this week. Do either of them cover, or do both of them cover?
Both cover.
Both cover?
Yeah. Right. I was thinking about going to that game at Wrigley if I could. It's $250 just to get in the door.
That's absurd.
Ohio State Northwestern. It's going to be all red in there too. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Kansas and BYU. It's 31 degrees in Provo, Utah tomorrow night. Does Kansas pull off the upset? BYU, Mo, 2.5-point favorites. Vegas loves the Jayhawks, man, and they should because they've been covering these spreads. So,
what's that game's at 10:15?
I'm thinking Kansas. I think Kansas pulls
Whoa.
up. BYU is bound for an upset at this point, and they honestly, I think Utah got screwed last week. So,
I don't know if they got screwed. I don't know if they got screwed. That's tough. I like Kansas running back Devin Neal. I liked him a lot. He's been a good 4-year guy there at Kansas.
70% of the handle is on that BYU. They're practically begging you to take BYU, and that makes me want to just go and pick Kansas.
I'm not picking Kansas. I'm taking BYU.
All right. Well, I'm betting Kansas tomorrow night, and I'll let you know.
You get Kansas money line? Yeah. No, I'm sticking with BYU.
All right. Well, it's going to be a fun slate of games today, folks. Get out there, get to Batavia Downs, and get those bets in. Get down and have a great night at the Downs on a Saturday night. Watch some football, have some drinks. For Alex Micah, this is Jake Micah. We're almost there. We're getting to the nitty gritty of this here. But what a great!
We're not here to play school.
Slate we got today. Not here to play school. We're here to talk college football. So, all right, folks. Have a great day.